Happy Saturday, Notre Dame fans. Mike Singer live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel talking about a new commitment for the Fighting Irish, Tiki Hola from Bastrop, Texas, Bastrop High School. Listed at 6'2.5", 285 pounds. I texted Charles Power, who's in charge of those height and weights at On 3, to make sure he updates that. Checked in at Notre Dame April 12th at 6'4", 301 pounds. So this is a big dude, a big commitment for the Irish. Lots to discuss in this video. We're going to bring in Tim live. We're going to bring in Tim Hyde live in a few minutes. Tim just told me to send him the link, and I already did. So Tim Hyde will join us live to talk about the film for Tiki. And we'll talk about the recruitment, guys. Tiki's the number 449 overall player, number 48 defensive lineman, according to the On3 industry ranking. ESPN and Rivals both list him as 4-star prospects. On3 listing him as not even a high 3-star, kind of like a mid 3-star. I think that needs to be adjusted for sure to a high 3 at the very least, and I'm sure he'll get that adjustment. And Charles Power, the On3 director of scouting and rankings at On3, did speak to me and gave me some quotes about his thoughts about Tiki. You can find that over at blueandgold.com coverage on this announcement. And I did get the sense that he thought fairly highly of Tiki from what he said. So I feel like he'll get a bump. Final 3 of Notre Dame, SMU, and USC. Never got the sense that USC was a huge contender here. They have so many other defensive line commitments. So whether that's Tiki, not loving USC down the stretch or vice versa, I don't know. I'm not going to be able to speak to that. But this really came down to Notre Dame and SMU. SMU being an in-state school. I'm not going to call it a local school because, Tiki's an Austin area kid. SMU's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it's like a 3-hour drive. I've done that drive in a day from Austin up to Dallas. It's quite a hike, so I'm not going to call him a local kid, but that was an in-state school. SMU earlier on Saturday flipped a wide receiver from Louisiana. He's committed to LSU, flipped them to SMU. So this is a program that can do some really good things. Had a very good season in 2024, making the college football playoff. Not a team to be taken lightly as SMU, a new ACC program. And look, SMU doing a lot in NIL and and they beat out Notre Dame for a 4-star wide receiver who the Fighting Irish really wanted in the last cycle. So SMU's not just a G5 program. No, this is an ACC team that does well in NIL. It's an up and coming program and just played for the college football playoff. So this was real competition for the Irish and folks, and an in-state school, right? Please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. Got to put the shamrock down for you guys. And yeah, Notre Dame getting this one done. There was more buzz, I would say, in the past several days with SMU than Notre Dame. He visited SMU back-to-back weekends. He had his official visit. He talked to people close to the SMU program, and the feeling was that the Mustang staff felt like they had done enough. And when thinking about this in the past week, I think there were some smoke screens put out there. I'm going to have to continue to dig on this, but I really do feel like, some people, might have been downplaying, maybe how Notre Dame felt. But hey, that's a part of the business. People want the excitement. I thought it was neat that you didn't see crystal balls late going into this decision. I had picked Notre Dame to land him about a month ago, but unless people were putting in prediction unbeknownst to me, recently there was no, again, last second crystal balls or anything like that for Tiki to Notre Dame. So yeah, really good stuff, folks. Tiki Hola picking the Fighting Irish. I mean, he had quite the long offer list. And again, if you're just joining us, Tim Hyde, Blue and Gold analyst, is going to be joining me in a few moments to discuss the film here. And get in the YouTube comments, guys. Tim, I don't know exactly what time Tim's going to hop on with us, but while we wait, get in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about this commitment. Tiki had offers from Texas, USC, of course, SMU, A&M, Georgia, Oregon, Baylor, TCU, LSU, Miami, Tennessee, Michigan. Long offer list, man. Just shocked shocked to see Notre Dame beating, Michigan for another prospect. My phone's starting to blow up a little bit. So there you go. Notre Dame just putting Michigan and stuffing them in a locker yet again. We will just go ahead and watch the tape. 3 blocked kicks, I think, is pretty neat. Tiki Hola getting it done on defense and special teams. Notre Dame offered Tiki Hola back in March of 2024. So this is a pot of gold day offer for the Irish, making him a long-time target. All right, give me one more second. Let me email Tim Hyde again, because Tim's saying he's not getting the link. Hold on. Says email. Okay, hold on. Hold on, everyone. Tim Hyde says his email was full and can't receive anything else. Tim Hyde, it is 2025. What the hell? How do you not get? How's your email full in the year of 2025? I had to send it to another email. So longtime target for the Irish, big time offer list. Visited South Bend 5 times already, going back to November of 2023. I think his first visit to Notre Dame was that the Pitt game in that season with Sam Hartman, and blowout for the Irish, obviously. And so Notre Dame did a lot here. Got him on campus before he even was offered. Got him, for the spring and summer last year. And just 5 visits, getting up there 5 times. That's a really good sign. If you're Notre Dame, they did a great job. That in-home visit that Notre Dame had with him on Thursday must have gone really, really well. Al Washington, Nick Sebastian closing this one. Let me check my text again with Tim Hyde. See if he can't figure this out. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry for the poor TV here. Yeah, send him the right link. Let me send it here as well. He says he's sitting here ready. Tim, you're not with me, brother. Bulldozer, run stuffer. I mean, at 6'4", 300 pounds, this is a nose tackle all the way. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Live television. Let's look at the class for Notre Dame at this point, folks. The number 4 class in the country. I know like Rivals 247 might have Notre Dame a little bit higher. Just how the rankings, how these websites do their rankings is a little bit different from website to website, whereas On3 is an average, right? So if you look at it, it's the average number of commits used in your ranking score is 7, because that is if you average up all of the Power 4 conferences and how many commits they have at this point, it is 7. So it's kind of like a fair way to represent, so that it's not, hey, if you have the most commitments, you have the highest ranking. On3 doesn't do that. I know Rivals did. I worked there for 10 years. I know how they did the rankings. I'm not really familiar with how 24/7 does there. So USC is the number 1 class in the country. I mean, they got 2 5-stars, pretty top-loaded class. I mean, they have 26 freaking commitments. So they have a ton of 3-stars with 9, but they also have a ton of highly ranked players among that top 7. LSU is the number 2 class. Ohio State, number 3. Notre Dame is at 4, followed by A&M, Bama, Georgia, Oregon, Clemson, and Penn State. So yeah, Tom says 24/7 is Notre Dame at number 2. Listen, I see Notre Dame fans complain all the time. Oh, we start off with such a high ranking and then we drop down, and they blame it on Notre Dame recruiting. But also, you guys have to understand that it's a flaw in some of these websites how they do their rankings, because it's a popularity contest more than it is like an accurate description of where these classes will end. So we got Tim Hyde. Tim will bring in a second. So Notre Dame's got number 4. Does anyone think that Notre Dame's going to sign the number 2 class in the country? Personally, I don't think so. If they sign a top 5 class, that'd be fantastic. I discussed the other night with Tim that I see this more in the 5 to 8 range. So it's something to take into account. It's May. We're not going to get too bought into class rankings, but it is I think the way On3 does it, it's a good way to look at where the classes actually might rank, closer to signing day. Tim, how do you have a full email account in the year of 2025? How did that happen?
What is it? What is this? 1986? I kid you not. I apologize. So I was so excited because I was thinking back last time you and I did something this spontaneous, so to speak, and I think it was Emil Wagner.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was going back and I was thinking, oh my God. So yeah, I was excited as could be when you said, hey, he's going to commit. So I thought that was awesome. So, hey, I'm sitting here on my phone. I've been busy as could be at the boathouse. So excited to come talk with everybody.
What do you think about Tiki Hola on film?
Man, I'll tell you what, he's been one of my favorites since he got offered. Him, and I hate to say it, Jones from the Chicago guy who's going to SC. These two guys are like two of the most fundamentally sound sophomores and juniors. I remember when he got offered as a sophomore, how I loved his film right away. Just fundamentally sound, physical, point of attack, unbelievable stance. Trying to get young linemen into a stance is not as easy as it always looked. So that's always a plus. And he's been like that for a couple of years, and just, rewatch. It's funny. I rewatched his stuff maybe a week or two ago when his commitment was coming up, and he's got unbelievable hustle. He's going to be an inside guy, no doubt about it. He looks, nose 3, whatever it is. You know me, I'm like, just get him on campus, figure it out. He's going to be a B and A gap player. So you see his frame, being, with his largeness already, unbelievable leg strength. He's gonna be a 305, 310 pound inside guy, no doubt about it, by his 3rd year. So that's what's really exciting is his potential down the road. Plays with great effort, and I say that because special teams, the guy's blocking kicks like crazy. I think he blocked 5 or 6 if I read his stats right, which is effort when you're going at it like that on special teams. So it's a heck of a get, because it's just size, the potential. He's really, really good fundamentally coming into Notre Dame. Texas, obviously, Texas, my God, they may sign more Texans than Texas A&M does this year. So it's crazy how they're going into that state, which is great because the most players drafted this past year were out of Texas. So you and I have been talking about it forever. They got away for a long time, and been a big push under Marcus Freeman. So exciting. It's, heck, and I know they're recruiting the heck out of another Texan as well. So another D lineman, another wide receiver. So who knows how many more they're going to get. But with Tiki, and I'm talking a million miles an hour, just trying to play catch up here, but effort. Look at this. You get guys like this. I've always been a big fan. I've mentioned his name before when I say the word fundamentals. To me, it's Anthony Weaver, who played from 98 to 01, and he's big time defensive coordinator now in the NFL. Will be a head coach someday. He started as a true freshman because of fundamentals. And when I think of guys like Tiki and other great Notre Dame guys that come into South Bend prepared, I always think of Anthony during his days. So really excited. Really excited. It's a heck of a pickup.
Yeah. So Tim, he's listed on his On3 page at 6'2.5", 285 pounds. And I texted Charles earlier today because at Charles Power On3 director of scouting rankings, he checked in at 6'4".
What?
All right, let me get you the exact even down to the 6'4 3/4" or whatever it was.
Hey, he's growing. That's a positive.
Yes. 6'4 2/8", 301 pounds.
He's already 300. Yeah,
Yeah.
So there you go. You got a guy 6'4", He's going to be 300 plus. I mean, he's a taller, fundamentally more sound Sean Saviano
Yeah.
is what he is. Sean was really explosive, obviously short, compact more on his film. You see Tiki, he's got a little bit, obviously a little bit taller than Sean. I would compare those two guys as, I mean, Sean is 340 pounds for crying out loud. He's more
Right.
Lewis Nix than anybody, but, same type of frame, stout, strong point of attack. So that, Sean's got 2 years on him. Tiki's going to come probably behind him and be an inside force there. But yeah, I know you've mentioned nose. I know guys in the message board, and obviously, and when you and Kyle have talked about him, it's nose. But you know me, I'm like, just get him inside. He's an interior guy. He's going to be an A gap, B gap guy. 310, 315, work ethic. Unbelievable. What he is how he's going to develop down the road. So this is exciting. I know 3-star. What I mean, I don't even know what the heck he's ranked. I'm sure you already talked about that earlier. So I just
Fourth.
watched the film, and he's a damn good football player.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 2 websites rank him as 3, the other 2 4.
Gotcha.
I think he should be I don't know. I'm the Notre Dame guy, but I think a 4
Sure.
somewhere ranked in the nationally like 200 to 300. Like I think that's where he's at.
Sure.
I mean, on 3's, maybe got to update that, especially when you see that 6'4", 300 pounds. He's a run
big.
stuffer.
Yes.
All the way, Tim. Like he is just strong. He's a bully, and looking at this 26 class for the Irish, Tim. I mean, he currently is just using that on 3 industry ranking, which takes into account rivals, 247 ESPN, and then on 3's own rankings, the second lowest ranked committed class. Which
and that's great.
Saying something. Holy
Yes.
crap. Look at this class for the
Yes.
Irish. This is still a blue chip percentage of 73 right now. I mean, and they're pulling, look, average distance for where these prospects live compared to where Notre Dame's at, 577 miles, not an in-state commit yet. I mean, 3 D-line commits for the Irish, Tiki joining a pair of defensive ends in Rodney Dunham and Ebenezer Uwatade. And Tim, I want to kind of circle back to this as we've, doubled our viewership since I kind of talked about his recruitment.
Sure.
Because Cowboys freak said, huge, Mike, you called it yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about. During our live show yesterday, I was like, man, I'm kind of leaning SMU. Like there, again, I think there was smoke screens of people in the know, usually not knowing what was going on or kind of what was going on. But at different points of the week, I was like, after, or like going into his home visit Thursday, if Notre Dame was feeling good. Friday morning, really not so sure. SMU had more buzz, and Notre Dame. I mean, I know the home visit went well. It was kind of confusing, but I did earlier in the week, Tim, a projecting the D-line class for Notre Dame article, and obviously I had Rodney Dunham and Ebenezer Uwatade in that, and then I had Tiki Hola in there, and I was like, I think they take 2 more after this.
Yeah.
It could be 6, but I like Notre Dame for Alistair Veheo, who's another Texas defensive lineman, probably a 3 tech. And then I like Notre Dame for Elijah Golden right now from Sarasota, Florida. He's originally from Virginia, but playing for former Notre Dame, tight end quarterback Jared Clark, who, of course, does a lot of YouTube stuff with our buddy Mike Goolsby. So it doesn't hurt that your high school head coach, went to Notre Dame. But you could also see Noah Clark potentially, who's one of the is like 6'5", 350 pounds. You could potentially see him. You could potentially see Mikhail Blade from Chicago, who's a swing guy between a 3 tech and a 5 technique. Tim, and there's a couple others they've recently offered. Tavian Branch from Pennsylvania. There's others.
Washington. The Washington kid's pretty good.
Yeah. His name is escaping me, but I wrote an article on him recently. So there's a lot. So it's like, man, Notre Dame has set up this D-line board for success, Tim. I'll be writing a column soon about like the narrative about Al Washington has got to change because there's always a scapegoat with Notre Dame coaching staff. Like there's always one. And right now it's going to be Mike Brown. It's definitely not Al Washington because, I mean, this D-line recruiting for the Irish staff has been solid.
Yeah, I mean, the names you rattled out too, and it's like Golden's probably the highest ranked one and the rawest one, because when I watch his film, he's not fundamentals and things of that nature is Tiki and especially Alistair. That guy's unbelievable. That
Yeah.
that kid in Texas. So on film, potential wise, the best ones are probably the 3 stars.
Yeah.
Thinking about them down the road. I'm just saying, watching film and what they could bring to Notre Dame already. So upside, obviously, a couple of those other guys, but the 2 Texans would be unbelievable to finish out with them. Solid. Just going from there. Yeah, Golden. Yeah, Golden's an interesting one watching him because I know that's a Bama Notre Dame thing. So
Yeah.
that's more of a upside. He's very raw to me on film with some of the things that he does. Stands up, I think, a lot. So a lot to work there, but super athletic. Change of direction. Those are things the scouts, the recruiting guys see that could be great potential for him down the road. But it could be a banner class, and I think bringing in 5 is smart because you just keep going back to the 22 class is kind of washed away. The 23 class is, we've already moved one to, offensive line. Brennan
Right.
Vernon's kind of lost in the shuffle. Armel Mookham's going to be a career backup, in my humble opinion. Traore's obviously still there, and you had to move, obviously Burnham Tulialamacher in the 22 class, but, they moved from backer. 24's a lot more projects. See how they develop with Mullen, Seviano, obviously Logan Thomas on the edge. 25, same type, some really good effort guys coming in 25. 26, bring in 5. Bring in 5. That's the other thing. I know the roster thing. You and I haven't dove into it too much. Once it's set at 105, that could be 105 scholarships now. So
It
I
won't
think
be.
no, exactly, but it can be. So that's the other thing. Notre Dame's talked about 95. So if
Yeah.
we're always been stuck on this 85 mark all the time, right? How many times do you get emails or message boards? Mike, how are they going to get to 85? Well, who gives a damn now? You could, 95, 105 scholarships. So bringing in 5, 6 D linemen, smart as could be, because some will develop, some will wash away. It's just the nature of the beast in this game. So keep
Yeah.
replenishing talent, and this is a damn good class. So
Yeah.
just getting 5 out of, and you just mentioned 7, 8 names, you get 5 out of those. That's a damn good haul,
Yeah.
especially going on last year's with Christopher Burgess and the others that are in that class.
Yeah. Talking about Notre Dame and Texas. So they have 2 now committed from the Lone Star State. Of course, with Hola today, and then Javian Osborne committing to Notre Dame a week ago today. And Osborne is the second highest ranked verbal of the class, according to the On3 industry ranking, number 109 overall player, number 8 running back. And Braden Robinson, the speedster slot guy, but
Yep.
could play some field, but more likely a slot from Red Oak. Caden Finley from Alito, Texas. We talked about Alistair Vajeo down in, he's also in the Austin area. So it's 3 more.
Did
And
they
I'm
just
trying,
do the USC decommit?
Cohen Brown. I
Jeez, yes.
wrote a big article about him yesterday. Tim Hyde loves him. We're going to talk more
Love
about
that
him
guy.
in our upcoming show Wednesday. So that's 4. And I might be forgetting someone else. That's 4 kids from Texas that Notre Dame could land in this class to make it 6, who knows, maybe 7 total.
Yeah.
So there is, and Texas is loaded. So Notre Dame really involved in that state. There's the comment here that I want to pop up on the screen. This is kind of going off topic and trying to think like what metaphor to use here. Ooh, 2K says when recruits commit to the Irish, their rankings go down. It just happens. So this is like if I go, if I forget to take out the trash, my trash comes every Friday. If I forget to take out the trash, my wife says, Michael, you always forget to take out the trash. Like, no, there's times I don't. I do take out the trash. I didn't forget last week. I didn't forget the week before. But if she just sticks on, you always forget. She doesn't remember the times I do take out the trash.
Of
This
course.
comment right here, with all due respect, it's just idiotic. It's not paying attention to the times that guys commit to Notre Dame and their rankings do bump up. It happens all of the time.
It's it's
All of the time.
it's,
We
it's happening now. Rankings. I mean, Rivals just did an update, and half of the guys went up tons of spots. So
Rodney Dunham literally like 2 weeks ago just went from a 4 to a 5-star by On3.
yes,
None of the websites ranked him as a 5-star. The industry ranking did, but the individual site rankings,
nice.
none of them ranked as and we can look at. Oh, I just took it off the screen. I'm sorry. We can
No,
look
it's
at this.
just
Literally, none of them did, and then On Three just bumped them to a 5.
it's just a talking point, as in everyone, everyone thinks everyone decommits and everyone thinks everyone goes down.
Look,
It's like,
the D. Oh, I'm not
yeah,
gonna care about this until he signs, guys. Like 80% of commitments still sign. It's lower than it used to be. It used to be like 90 or 95, I'm sure, but schools drop kids more than ever. Kids flip. NIL's a thing. This is just the world we live in now. But it's still like
but let
75
me,
to 85%. Go ahead, Steve.
yeah, and to add on to that, Mike, especially in Notre Dame's case, I mean, let's be honest. Over half of the decommits in the last 5-6 years are guys that
Notre
they've
Dame
kind
pushes
of
out. Yeah.
exactly. They've kind of over recruited, and so when you lose a running back and he goes to Oregon, well, Notre Dame is okay with that. So there's certain decommits you don't want to lose, and certain ones you're okay. So
Yeah.
you always got to look at that as well. Obviously, as we know, Notre Dame fans are going to be stuck on Keon Keeley and Peyton Bowen for 25 years, but that's that's not
Steve
reality.
Knight. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. More the reality is what you said. Like, someone flips. We're not it's not the end of the world. We're
Hmm.
like, Dylan Edwards, the Colorado. It's like, yeah, we would have really liked to have him. He's a good player, but it's not the end of the world. Or, other running backs in recent recruiting cycles that,
You got
hey,
Jadarian
Nolan
Price with
James, we're
someone,
happy to have you. Yeah. It's
or
like,
exact Nolan James. You got Kedron Young instead of the guy that went to Oregon out of Washington, was it Lamar, Cedric Irvin. You ended up getting this guy, or exactly, you got
yeah.
Nolan James instead of Thurman. It happens. So
Yeah.
there's a select few elite ones which did go to programs. In my humble opinion, I don't think that would happen today, because I'm a firm believer those early commits. I know we're going off topic a pinch, but those early commits were still, who's Marcus Freeman? He hadn't, what had he done? So you're putting all your eggs in Marcus Freeman basket over Nick Saban, let's say. So that's kind of obviously has changed now over the years. So a lot of the higher end guys that they are starting to get, they just played for a national championship. Odds on favorite to be a preseason top, 2 to 5 program this season. Odds on favorite to be in back-to-back playoffs again. So huge upward momentum, and especially when all these teams, NIL is legal, you're going to start having the revenue sharing, so the money's going to be equal across so many spaces now. So it's a big positive, and me, I've been hammering it, man. Like, embrace the portal, Notre Dame fans, and embrace the SEC playing a blood sport, trying to get so many guys, because Notre Dame will get those handful of unbelievable blue chips that believe in what Notre Dame is and has as a program and for the future. And Notre Dame can win in this era. I truly
Yeah.
believe that, much more than to 2012.
Yeah.
It's completely flipped for Notre Dame. It really has.
I know I speak a lot, and people don't like me because, like, I seem like I'm speaking down to Notre Dame fans. It's not my intention. I just get frustrated with certain aspects of this recruiting world and certain notions that are just extremely false. But like, sometimes I'm just really trying to inform, because I'm not doing this show for coaches. Like, I'm doing the show for fans, and I want you guys to um, try to understand the process as much as possible. So I think Steve is just asking like a very honest question here. He says, "How come in Irish Illustrated doesn't show we have a 5-star athlete?" So just like, let me dive into this. So Irish Illustrated is, of course, in the 24/7 network, and I'm not going to pull up their site because they're a competitor of ours, but there's 4 different rankings websites. You have ESPN, Rivals, On Three, and 24/7. Well, I understand how that can be confusing, because like, if I say this kid's a 3-star, I'm using the On Three and On Three industry ranking, right? Like, I'm using one of those two because I work for On Three, but 24/7 is going to use theirs. Rivals is going to use theirs. So if, like, I call Rodney Dunham a 5-star, someone else wants to call him a 4-star. It's like, well, which one is he? It's just depending on which website you're looking at. That's why we love On Three's player profile, because it lists all 4. Like, you can see it right on the profile, what On Three has them ranked, what 24/7 has them ranked, ESPN and Rivals. And then the industry ranking, what it does is, and actually I think it explains it. The algorithm uses On3 at 35%, 24/7 at 35%, and then Rivals at 20% and ESPN at 10, because On3 is basically saying we think On3 and 24/7 do the best job, followed by Rivals, and then followed by ESPN. And then another interesting part about this is that a couple weeks ago, On3 just bought Rivals. So I don't know how this is all going to work with rankings now that On3 has purchased Rivals. But that's at least how it is for now. So it's just different rankings for different websites, just like I have an opinion and Tim has an opinion. It's like I'm gonna have mine, Tim's gonna have his, just like On3's gonna have their opinion on a recruit, and 24/7 has theirs. Notre Dame loved Tiki Hola, maybe I don't know, Rutgers didn't love him, or Phil, whatever school, Tulane, I don't know. They may not have loved him. It's just different strokes for different folks. Jamarcus Russell went number 1 overall. Johnny Manziel went in the first round. Maybe others wouldn't have picked him there. So it's kind of one of those things, if that makes sense. Wind it down here, Tim. Let you get back to your Saturday, and I will, too. Just any other parting thoughts? Tiki Hola committing to Notre Dame.
No, I mean, just what I said before. Really, really good, solid, fundamentally sound football player. Great base, great stance, great hand placement, leverage, all these things that are exciting as a coach to get. I'm sure Al Washington's already saying, bam, this guy's already got so many things, very well coached, solid background coming into Notre Dame. We're just going to keep pumping it out and make him, a heck of a football player down the road. I could see him definitely being an early guy. Me, my philosophy is year 3, but with his size, fundamentally already ahead of the curve, I could see him being a guy in year 2 playing right away. Especially if he's in early enrollee, who knows? I mean, he comes in, he gains another inch. He's 6'5", 315 when he shows up. And it's interesting with the height, because I've always thought of him he's always looked like a Riley Mills to me in a way, a shorter version of Riley, just with, the way he plays in the interior some. So if he keeps getting tall like Riley, that would be a heck of a player to replace Riley Mills down the road with the size, because obviously Riley played in that 305 range, and Tiki's going to be there as well. But I like the Texas aspect. Bob Davie recruited Texas unlike anyone in the history of Notre Dame, and those guys played darn good football during those Notre Dame years. So I love that Freeman's going into that state. And you're right, Mike, man, they may come away with 6 dudes this year out of that state. 5. I wouldn't be surprised if it's at least 5. So you get 5 Texans and you keep going down there. That's kind of SEC country now. Everyone's going into that state. And if Notre Dame could keep building this, just, momentum in that state, and you're getting 3-5 guys out of there every year, that's huge for the future. So very, very exciting.
Yeah. Notre Dame's class 10. This is an exciting one. Jonas Walton's
Yes.
announcing his commitment, running back from Georgia. And
That's
big time freaking kid with pretty much every offer from the South that you could think of. And he's trending towards Notre Dame. I've been covering Notre Dame for 6 years, Tim. Like, this Notre Dame football recruiting has been my life and livelihood for 6 years now. Just hit 6 years on May 1st. This is all I've known, right? This is an exciting time if I've followed like Notre Dame recruiting. And Tim, in your 30 plus years following the program, like, you've seen a ton. Like, this stretch run since what was the drought till Ebenezer Uwatade committed. Like, this has been quite the exciting run, and it's not slowing down. This train is not slowing down. And as I'm I really want to know some more backstory about how this all came together. Like, this is
the whole Tiki? Yeah.
Who knew? Like, when did he tell? I don't know. This is interesting.
No, I love that we jumped on as soon as he did it. It's the news, because I think you're extremely right. It felt like SMU lately. Just, obviously he loved Notre Dame. He's had great home visits, all that good stuff. But it just, you just got that feeling, because so many of these Notre Dame guys, as you know, you hear about it so much earlier, like the buzz with them and all that. This one was playing it close to the vest. That's why I thought of Emil Wagner when you're like, "Hey Tim, you want to go live?" I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I'm going to be running home in a few minutes. Give me a few
Yeah,
minutes." And
thank
it
you for
felt like
joining.
a meal. Yeah, it felt like a
Yeah,
meal, Wagner. But
that's a good shout. I remember that week I was seeing Ben Morrison at Brophy Prep, and
okay.
I was in Arizona, and I was sitting at a hotel just working, and a coworker texted me, "Hey, Emil Wagner's committed to Notre Dame," and I was like, "What?" I was texting someone at Notre Dame that morning, and they thought it was Kentucky. So that
Yeah.
was a quite the bizarre one. And but this one I wrote at Blue and Gold. This recruitment reminded me more of Kingston
Okay.
because the buzz leading up to Kingston's announcement a couple years
Is
ago
that Steve?
was that no Ohio State,
Yeah,
more
you're
Ohio
right. It was more Ohio
State,
State. Yes,
and
with Laronitis. Yes.
but Kingston, just and Kyle. Shout out to Kyle Kelly. Kyle Kelly said in our show yesterday when Kyle and I were really 55-45 thinking it was SMU over Notre Dame. Like we
Okay.
didn't really know, but we were Kyle was like, he recalled Kingston's recruitment and said that when Kingston was going through his process, he was thinking, I'm just let God lead my decision here. And Kyle was like, the last time that Notre Dame had a prospect like that, say that, Kingston ended up picking Notre Dame. So maybe God will lead Tiki to Notre Dame. And, we just got a new Pope. And it's just thriving with Notre Dame in the faith-based aspect right now. So Tiki,
And no, I was going to say, and speaking of Kyle, as we were talking D-line guy, he's been on Blade in Notre Dame. Like he's not budging. I know he's been on that, like, because everyone
I've budgeted
thinking
a little bit.
with that.
I've budgeted a little bit.
Yeah.
I could see it, but I'm not as sure as Kyle is.
Yeah, exactly. And Kyle's really believing in that, which would be great. He's a heck of a football player. For this, just real quick on the whole class as a whole, I think Notre Dame fans, man, if they close with Osborne's buddy, right? That's his buddy, the wide receiver. That dude's good as could be. And if they get him and Finley, that's two true blue chip wide receivers that are like ready to play type guys. Much more explosiveness than Great House and Flores. Remember we talked about them as being ready to play guys, and they were as freshmen. But these two guys, way more explosiveness than those two as they're coming in. They would be obviously Colsey and Styles were two top 100 guys, but they didn't have the wide receiver skills as these two Texans. So Notre Dame fans, man, light some candles, fingers crossed. If they could steal two blue chip, really, really solid wide receivers out of Texas, and you get Larry Fitzgerald's son, I mean, all of a sudden you get the wide receiver room is, everyone's talking about all these little short guys. You're getting three good looking, good size wide receivers that could play outside.
I love talking Notre Dame football, Tim, but again, recruiting is my main part of my job. So it does seem like the next few weeks for that Wednesday night show. Again, we moved from Tuesday to Wednesday for the Tim Hyde show. So lock in Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna be talking more recruiting. Unless Tim, you want to discuss the
What do
like
we got?
the length of the shoelaces for the quarterbacks. Maybe we can discuss what their favorite color is. We can dive
Oh,
into.
we will definitely dive into this 16 team. That's one thing I really want to get
Oh,
into.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
folks, really appreciate you hanging out with us, discussing Tiki Hola committing to Notre Dame over SMU. Hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our Blue and Gold YouTube channel. If you're just joining here recently, maybe don't skip to the very beginning of the show because I was fumbling through trying to get Tim on here as Tim's email was full, which I didn't even know was possible in the year of 2025. So Tim, maybe clear out some old emails, just delete some old emails I sent you. You should be good. They'll clear out several hundred. Yeah, that's going to do it. We'll be live next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Six Pack Show, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The Notre Dame football show with myself and Tim Hyde. Again, really appreciate you all for tuning in to a special Saturday stream, and we'll catch you next time.